automated cybersecurity risk and compliance application. They just got back, they just merged from beta, so this is a big time for them. So can you guys stand up and give a round of applause to Sean?
You hear me okay? Cool. Thanks for having me here. So I'm Sean. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Complyify. And what we do is we make intelligent software that follows your sensitive data all throughout the cloud, across all of the service providers and platforms you use, making sure that it's protected so you don't become the next Equifax. So this is actually my business partner Mitch is here today too. This is our second time teaming up. Previously, we spent 11 years building and selling Neospire, another Dallas-based startup here. Had a lot of fun there doing some really cool things. We were doing security services, managed hosting services for some of the biggest brands out there. We actually we protected, I think, about $10 billion of online financial transactions during that run, and just incredible stuff that we had out there to secure. But with all the security services we had to protect credit card data, personal identities, and all sorts of other stuff, there was always one thing that we could never solve, and that was how do we give our customers confidence in their security posture without first expecting them to be security experts. Because the markets for security is really, really complicated. There is a ton of security products out there, 1,600 on market today by our count. It's a lot of moving parts, and to ask anyone to keep a handle on that is quite a big ask if they're not a security expert. It's no wonder you hear things like Home Depot's former CEO before their breach saying, "We sell hammers. We're not a tech company. Why should I care about security?" Or of course, you see what just happened to Equifax's CEO yesterday, and some of their other executives as a response to this breach. There's just a ton of moving parts, and if you're not a security expert, keeping on top of this stuff is really, really difficult. And if you unwind any of these breaches, from the big ones we all hear about to the thousands of other breaches that you see just every month in this country alone, you see this terrifying pattern. We're not getting breached because we failed to deploy intrusion detection, for example, or we didn't have encryption that we were using. We're getting breached because we failed to implement these controls consistently over time. So what we wanted to do at Complyify wasn't build another tool to go throw into the sea of cyber weaponry. There's already plenty of people working on that. We wanted to be a higher level of abstraction, something that helped you monitor and manage all of your security tools, all of your cloud platforms, all of the resources you use to make sure that they're always compliant. Think of it like an omniscient, unblinking auditor. That's what our software does for you. So let's actually talk about auditors for a second. Here, this company handles really sensitive data, credit cards, personal identities, stuff like that. Yeah. How many of you guys work with auditors to make sure that you're doing the right things? Cool. So most of you guys have that as well. I'll tell you what, that audit report you get once a year is worth not a whole lot unless you're using it for marketing, right? It's a point in time. You're bringing an auditor in, your teams are probably doing what most companies do, which is scramble before the audit to manufacture a passing score so you can get a gold star, go out there and show the world that you're compliant. But then as soon as the auditor leaves, just about every business goes through the same thing. It's back to business as usual, my intention's off security, and now I'm focused on the things that are right in front of me. My security posture suffers, I get breached, and then I get embarrassed because maybe I had admin on my server, like Equifax. Yeah. So the software to help companies manage this isn't a high level new idea. It's called governance, risk, and compliance. And the GRC space today is already a $40 billion market. But there's problems with the software that makes them not usable by most types of organizations. For one, it's built for large enterprises, right? Companies that have armies of compliance and security experts and they're trying to coordinate their activities. Mid-market companies, small tech companies today that have really sensitive data, they can't afford to hire an army of compliance pros to do this. They need something else that can guide them through it. And additionally, these bits of software are meant for human-powered systems, but today's networks aren't. Today's IT is constrained within the bounds of a corporate data center. And it changes really, really fast, right? We're in the cloud, we're changing constantly. That's how these things get away from us, and we end up with these security vulnerabilities we didn't even know existed. So we spent the last year building what we call our cybersecurity AI. Effectively what it is it's a system that we train up on dozens of different security standards. All the big security standards you hear about, like PCI for credit cards, or the NIST standards that are referenced by a lot of other agencies. And of course, all the big regulations that govern cybersecurity as well, like HIPAA for healthcare data, and the EU GDPR, Europe's big new privacy laws. We combine that. Every customer on board builds a custom profile, because everyone's compliance and security concerns are different. And we use that to generate for every single customer a unified set of security controls that are unique to them, their challenges, their regulatory obligations. We call that our common compliance framework. The system uses that, and then you integrate it out to all your cloud platforms, AWS, Azure, Google, GitHub, Salesforce, wherever you've got sensitive data out there, and it constantly goes out and assesses and says, hey, what gaps do I have against these standards that I should be meeting? And then it guides your team to mitigate those over time, prepare for your audit, so that when you finally get to the audit, everything's right there for the auditor. You don't have to lift a finger doing discovery. And oh, by the way, your executives and all the other stakeholders you might have that are interested in security get constant updates along the way with dashboards and reports that they can understand in English. So, where we're at today is we just launched our beta a week ago. We're doing a round right now to get us to product market fit. We're doing $1 million raise. We've already got 550,000 of that committed, and looking to get the rest done hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So thanks everyone. I really appreciate your time today, and happy to take your questions.
Great job. All right, so first question, as always, what can we as a community do for you?
Sure. First off, thanks for being here today, guys. Any feedback you might have about our story or presentation is awesome for us as we go through the rest of this fundraising. Additionally, if this is a challenge you have or someone that you know has, I'd love to have you as beta customers as well. No charge. We're just trying to get early adopters on there to really ferret out what really works, what the delighters are, and some things we need to tweak.
Thank you very much. My question is regarding your business model, basically go-to-market, unit economics, and how are you going to intend to address that? If you can share some of that with us.
Sure. Sorry if it was a little hard to hear because you were coming back. I think you asked what the business model was and how we're going to get
and the unit economics, how are you going to acquire customers, what are your charges, and how you can spend on acquiring customers.
Sure.
Who are your customers? What's your go-to-market? I mean, it wasn't clear on the
I don't have it on here, but we have a customer bullseye, we call it, which basically our target customer audience. We're first and foremost looking for companies under $1 billion in revenue. Very large enterprises have a different set of problems like I talked about, and they're well served by the existing solutions on the market. So companies under $1 billion, then companies that are in very heavily regulated spaces, because they're the ones that don't have a choice generally, they have to act. And they're increasingly being told to implement continual risk management, that a once-a-year audit isn't sufficient for them to manage the risk. So we're looking for people in healthcare and fintech, technology companies that have other really bits of sensitive data or that are being shared sensitive data by their customers, IT service providers, cloud providers, people like that. Basically, if you think about anyone you work with that you're sharing your company's data with, those are the types of people we're generally looking to target. We sell it as a SaaS model, so right now in beta we're doing some testing on pricing, but looking to keep it very, very simple, just flat per month per user cost to get into the system. It'll be equitable to other enterprise SaaS software, so somewhere in the neighborhood of $150 to $200 a month. Yeah, so obviously we'll do direct, but our main focus right now is on channel through service providers. So both Mitch and I, my business partner, and I have a background in that space. Additionally, it's very approachable for us because these companies already direct revenue off security services. They're already the people going out and saying, I'll help you secure, but they need a way to visualize that value for their customers. They need a way to go to them and say, okay, you don't just have to blindly trust that I'm doing what I say, now I can prove it to you, and all the other things that you still have on your plate, I'm going to have this software will help you manage it as well. So channel is a big part of our strategy.
Next question. Any feedback on the presentation?
Hi, while driving back, I just heard the news that Sony got a security breach today. Like yesterday came out in news, hitting almost 1,600 locations. I was like, thinking of that, I'm not a security expert, I don't have such a huge business. One question is, like, what's the minimum requirement for an enterprise to be a beta testing for you? This is a beta testing client for you, and I would just say all the best for that.
Sure. The only requirement I'd have is to say, first and foremost, this is right now beta. We're looking for early adopters. So if you're if you need a solution today that you can roll out to a dozen people and have it run like clockwork, I'd love to say that it was there. We're just a little hair away from that at the moment. So if you want to get access today, I just want to have a quick conversation, make sure that you're willing to work with us as we go through and clean up a couple of the rough edges that you always see in the main product.
All right.
Is there anything proprietary about what you do? Is there any intellectual property now or anticipated?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So a couple things. First off, what we call the cybersecurity AI is effectively an expert system. Has anyone here used TurboTax before? Yeah, so you guys will have used an expert system. You don't go into TurboTax, it doesn't expect that you know the tax code and the forms you need and all the things you need to figure out and how to maximize your deductions. It just asks you a series of questions, and from that can build this giant network of all the other questions it has to ask you, and then ultimately how to get you to the best possible outcome. It's the exact same model, that expert system style of AI, that our system uses. So that's the core of our IP today. Additionally, our scoring system, we call it cybersecurity quotient, which is providing, think of it like a FICO score for security. This algorithm that produces these scores and the insights that go along with it is kind of the front of the additional IP development we're building right now.
Morning. It's a good job.
Thank you.
Good job, well done. The question was concerning the competition. So you mentioned before, it is a pretty crowded field, but so I guess no one is doing so this exactly. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So there's tons of GRC providers. The people that make software, the GRC software for big enterprises, all the big software shops have it. Oracle, SAP, HP, etc. We're not going after their customers. The people we're focusing on the mid-market and small companies with high security concerns. They do have other people trying to serve them, but they're all effectively producing checklists in the browser. So Allgress, IBIS, Complyify, there's a handful of others that are producing SaaS-style software to help people manage compliance. But two big things that we're different on. One is they require their customers to be security experts. They're not doing that TurboTax style approach where they're like, we expect that we can work with IT for anyone in an IT field who knows their systems, and we can do the security assessment for them as long as they can answer questions about their IT environment. Everyone else expects that, for example, their customers will understand when rotating your key encrypting keys. They need to be security experts to use it. Second off, everyone else out there today still thinks that security is a one entity problem. That, oh, I'll sell my compliance management software to Acme, right? And it's just for Acme. But the thing is, Acme's security isn't governed by Acme anymore. It's governed by Acme and everyone that they share their data with. Their cloud providers, their service providers, their partners, and then everyone that they work with. It's this viral problem, and our software actually has that fundamentally built into it, where you can share obligations, offload obligations for certain attributes of your security amongst your service providers. So you're not expected to have to manage it all in-house because that's not how the world works.
All right. Have time for about 2 to 3 more questions. Gotcha.
Hi, can you talk a little bit about your team, kind of who you have working with you, and what type of roles you have?
Sure. We're 4.5 at the moment. So it's myself. I'm the security expert. I do enough coding to help out the team, but we've got 2 full-time engineers who are really the brains behind the architecture, split between primary focus on the back-end compliance engine, as well as we have another guy who focuses on the front-end user experience, and we've got another part-time guy currently who works on user experience design, graphics, stuff like that. And then my business partner, Mitch, who is the finance and the brains and the business side of the team. That's us today. We'll be growing, obviously.
Yeah, how long did it take you to build this software?
The long answer is about a decade. The short answer is a year. So we've been trying to solve this problem since about 2005. So we first got into compliance management in 04 and 05 is when we first started trying to crack the nut on how to report it to customers in a way that uses English in a way that they can understand. And this has been something that now through Neospire and then my time as VP of Product at Hosting.com, I've been looking for solutions on the market, trying to find something. We've actually done some human-powered solutions that just they didn't scale. But it wasn't until I quit my job at Hosting.com just over a year ago to focus on Complyify that we started building the AI backend to do this in an automated fashion.
Thanks. And a follow-up, what kind of resistance do you expect to your sales pitch to companies? What are the things that they're going to say?
Sure.
Why they won't engage you?
Yeah. One, that's actually, I love that question. I don't think I've had that one before. My first one is, quite frankly, I don't want to light show up, right? I've rolled the dice this long, and it hasn't hit me yet, so why would I want to know where I'm vulnerable? Because then I'll be expected to act. And the response we have to that is, you don't need to look far to see how devastating it is to these companies, right? All the big names we hear about, Target, Home Depot, Equifax, they hurt, right? Their stock tanks for a quarter, their executive heads roll, but they come back, and they're going to survive as an entity. But you go to those executives and be like, you're not going to survive this if you're not managing it, right? But additionally, if you go, there was a group that works with Homeland Security called the National Cybersecurity Alliance. They did some congressional testimony a year ago, a big study that Homeland funded. And while we hear about all these big company breaches, and we know they survive, the small and mid-market companies in this country, 60% of them go out of business within a year of a data breach. And if you think about it, Target can absorb a $250 million cost of dealing with a data breach. But even if you have something 10% the size of that on a company with 10 million in revenue, that's it. They're done, right? They can't survive these types of events. And critically, what our software does for companies that they might not realize is insurance. Right? We have the cyber breach insurance. But imagine if you drove your car drunk and you wrecked it into a tree, right? Your insurance company's going to be like, no, you weren't implementing due care. I'm not covering your idiot drunk driving accident. They do the exact same thing with cyber breach policies. You can go see all the lawsuits that they've won. P.F. Chang's is the biggest one that's had precedents in the federal district court recently, where their insurance company said, no, they weren't even attempting to monitor their compliance status in between annual audits. They didn't do what they're supposed to do. They fell out of compliance. They got breached. We're not paying for them for this. And so having that risk mitigation by simply having a system to track and monitor and help you mitigate these gaps on a continual basis and help protect your company in ways you just wouldn't have by hoping.
Can we look a little bit under the hood? And you mentioned when you started that you kind of follow the data with the cloud providers. So what I got is that you could talk to the IT personnel in the client's setup, but how are you addressing where the data, once the data leaves the enterprise? Are you just using public information, or are you hoping that the others will be your clients? So could you kind of explain that?
Sure. The system's hybrid in that there's some things we can't assess programmatically, right? Like what's in your policies today, or how far are you along with your training of your team. So there are questions and human answers, but increasingly we're answering as many of those as we can automatically, and that's being driven by integrations with different cloud providers and other SaaS and PaaS platforms. So for example, Amazon, the biggest cloud platform out there, has this awesome interface that every time a change is made to any of your AWS assets, it tells us what changed, what happened, and then our system automatically reassesses that through your rules engine and tells you if there's any gaps.
All right, any final question?
Thanks, this is really interesting. In terms of, is it mostly reporting, or does it actually act on information as well? Or is it, is it mostly a service after that to say, hey, this warning popped up, they'll call you to figure out how to handle it, or at some point, or is this in the roadmap, or does it do it now? Some things automatically fixes, like, hey, we fixed this for you.
Yeah. Today we're not doing any automatic mitigation of gaps that are detected. Part of that is just we haven't gotten there yet. And part of it is also it's our strategy to be focused on the software and let our service provider partners be the people delivering services to help mitigate the gaps in the meantime. So what it does is it'll open up tasks whenever there's a gap that's detected. If the gap goes away automatically, it closes the task for you, but otherwise it stays open and gives you a time to mitigate it based on the risk. And as you get closer, if you haven't mitigated it, your scores drop, as you get closer to that threshold, you we do mitigate, and scores go back up, et cetera. But yeah, right now it's just a task base.
All right. I think we got all the questions for today. All right. Well, thank you very much, Stu.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. So everything we do here happens because of sponsorship, so we just want to take an opportunity to thank a few people. First of all, we want to thank Big Frog. So Big Frog, they basically do branding on t-shirts and a lot more. If you're interested in learning a bit more about what they can do for you, visit Mark after the show right here. He's the owner of Big Frog. And if you use the coupon code 1,000,000 cups, you can get 10% off your order. Really cool thing about Big Frog, if you've ever done like branding or like any kind of stuff on shirts, there's usually a setup fee. They don't charge a setup fee, and they also don't have a minimum, which is great. We'd also like to thank i3 Media Marketing. Right there in the back, that camera is here because of media marketing. If you're interested in hearing a little bit more about what they do, visit Mercedes in the back. Then also, Kurt too usually provides treats for us today, but unfortunately he's sick, so no treats for you. Finally, the venue. If not for the Dallas Entrepreneur Center, we really would have no place to present this thing. It is a fantastic place to work. If you've ever thought about a co-working space that's really going to fit you, that's like got this cool kind of like place, I recommend that you check out the deck. You can do that two ways. You can talk to Emmanuel right here, and then you can also talk to Rachel in the back. But I'm telling you, I've worked here for several months. It is a fantastic place to work. Really great energy, really good environment. All those tables back there, they're all available to people on Wednesdays. You don't even have to be a member of the deck. You just need to take a tour, and then you can work at those tables back there on Wednesdays. All right, so with that, we're going to move on to our next presenter. Our next presenter is Gretchen from BizHawkz. BizHawkz is a woman-owned and woman-driven digital marketing, branding, and IT firm. So can you guys please stand up and give a round of applause to Gretchen?
Thanks so much. I'm Gretchen. I am the U.S. division of BizHawkz USA, which is based in India. My business partners are Amit Ahuja and Amit Sharma. Since they're Amits, you can call me Amit as well if you like. We are a 9-year-old company. We have more than 30 employees who work with us full-time. They're college educated. Our tradition and our office here opened exactly 2 months ago today. We have over $1 million of revenue, so we're small, but we're doing a good job. Our traditional space has been mobile responsive websites, digital strategy and automation, and mobile apps specifically for small business. That is the space that we work in. And what we're really focusing on in the future is mobile apps specifically for small businesses. And this matters for several reasons. Well, the problem we solve is that mobile apps are expensive for small businesses. Yes, there are those services that do it yourself. Yeah, but they're pretty crappy. They don't really work very well. But then what's the cost of being obsolete in 3 years? So this is why small businesses matter and why we're not trying to be the next Uber or the next Complyify, which that was an awesome presentation, but that's not us. Small businesses drive our economy. The Kauffman Foundation knows this. It's 48% of jobs, 64% of job creation, and looking for some angel or seed investment funding. We actually have something approximating this in the author, speaker, coach, consultant realm. We have good visibility there. But we need some money to really take proof of concept, to take our existing apps, really create those 3 tiers, and develop an experiment with a marketing strategy that really works in an industry where we already have market visibility. And part of the challenge is that we're not sexy. We're not going to be the next Uber of the digital world. But this is really, really important if we want our economy to continue to grow. What we need moving forward is mentoring to pick the right verticals. I have a strong background in business development, but I am not, I'm not some reincarnation of Steve Jobs over here. Some of this, I look at the research and it's like, how do you pick the next vertical? So that's where we're looking for help. We're also looking for help on whether we would access VC money. We got turned down by tech wildcatters because we're not sexy enough. We have a good chance of being accepted into the Goldman Sachs program because we have an inside advocate. So thank you very much. I'm happy for your questions.
So tell us what we as a community can do to help you.
Well, what I'm really looking for, I have to confess, I have a background in business development. I'm newer to the tech world, other than that I use tech, I understand tech. So looking at how do we grow this out, what are the barriers that maybe I'm not going to think of because I haven't been doing this for a decade? Are there people in the angel seed VC market who might invest in something like this? If not, better to know now than to waste time knocking on doors to just be told no over and over. And do we need to do a better job at selling investors on the importance of the small business market? Obviously, the Kauffman Foundation gets it, but not everybody. People are looking for the next Uber. This isn't sexy, but it's really important.
Thank you. First question?
Hi. So you mentioned, this is for every kind of business. We're looking for a mobile app that's really customized and unique to our clients. Is that something you would be able to do, or is it more of a canned type of
No, actually, that's thank you, that's something I should put in the presentation. That's actually what we've been doing. So we're building our 29th mobile app. It's actually it's for a concierge service, so it has geolocation and formulations for costing and scheduling. So we do, everything that we do so far is customizable. We come in at least half the price of the US market if you had a US developer do it. We have tremendous capacity to scale in India. It's just building up the marketplace here and then looking at the needs of those small businesses. So part of the reason that we work with small businesses is scope. It's like, and I want to put this in the right way. We're in and out. You're just starting up, you need a website, great. We can get you a website in 2 weeks if that's mobile responsive. We can do e-commerce within a month. If you have your ducks in a row, it's not like we're disappearing, but we are very fast. We get you a service, we move on. We get you a website, we move on to digital strategy, we move on to apps. So yes, we do customizable, but we also see a big need for something that's a little more cost effective for small businesses, and we see tremendous capacity to scale because the things that you do it yourself are pretty, they're either poor or they're ridiculous. Like you have to do your own testing. How would that work? I would have no clue how to do that, and I'm 55 years old with a master's degree. Does that answer your question?
Thanks for your time. I have 2 points. I guess they're more in the way of observations than questions. But the first was, I was unclear at the beginning of the presentation about how long the business has been around and how that was relevant to this product and how the team related to this product. And the second was to your question about does the presentation paint the right picture about what the market is. I think you could spend less time talking about the small business market and just helping us understand that there's a lot of demand for this product because there are a lot of individual businesses who only know a solution. I think that would be helpful. And a little more time focusing on what your product does.
Okay, thank you. And part of the reason that I went through the company history is that there are so many fly-by-night people out there. I just met someone a week ago. She's paid $15,000 for a mobile app from a one-man shop, and he disappeared. And she has no mobile app, and she's out $15,000. So our company is 9 years old. We have almost, I think it's 35, someone may be out on maternity leave, but college-educated, English-speaking people that are in an office in India every single day, run by my two Ahmeds. And so that's something that really distinguishes us because there's so many, I actually know how to build a website. I can take a domain name and build a WordPress website. Do you want me building your website? Probably not. And so there's just a lot of people that don't know what they're doing, and so we really try to distinguish ourselves. And yes, thank you. With 6 minutes, that felt like something important, and I think having just been turned down by tech wildcatters with no finger pointing there, people say, well, this doesn't matter. That's actually what we were told. This doesn't matter. And it's like it does matter to our economy. No, it's not going to be the next billion-dollar Uber kind of a thing.
Great presentation. I do agree. I think this is something that the market needs.
One of my questions centered around, you mentioned you're kind of the WordPress for apps. So when I think of WordPress, I kind of think this is something that, it's like DIY, anyone can develop themselves. So is your platform set up for me to develop my own app without your assistance, or?
No, there are actually competitors on the market that do that in a variety of different ways. We're more looking at, when you think about WordPress, you go, you pick a template you like. If you're working with a developer, it can be, I like that one, and pick it. So in creating wireframe templates, it takes a lot of the cost down because you're not doing that software development. So if everyone here runs a dry cleaners and you all need mobile apps, you all have similar needs, the same in home healthcare. So you can say, I just want a basic one because I can't afford the $8,000 bells and whistles, or I want something different. And they're also designed to be scalable. So you can start with the basic one and add building blocks as you have more money, as you have more needs. So it's not designed to be do it yourself, because those, I don't think they work very well. I can build a website, it's a little bit crappy.
And I guess as a follow-up question then, I guess when I think about this, it seems like this is going to require a lot of high touch. So what's your go-to-market strategy? Is it working with other verticals, other consulting firms that are using you to help get your clients? I'm just trying to understand the scale.
Yes, it is high touch, and that's something, like I said, I've been with BizHawkz formally for 8 weeks, so that's absolutely something we're addressing. One of the things that we're looking at doing is creating the basic platform so that we can go in, for example, I'm a business coach and I'm a member of the International Coach Federation. We'd love to bring this to the ICF and be like, hey, there are a lot of coaches that want apps. We know because we build apps for coaches and speakers and people that run events. So looking at who are those strategic partners, and then also when we have these templates built, it's a little bit easier for people to say, just like you would in WordPress, like, oh, I don't need e-commerce, or I need a geolocator. You can pick all of those features and then figure out what's most appropriate for you so that it cuts down on the high touch. Because yes, right now we may spend like this concierge service, we've already spent probably 8 hours helping them to identify what they need. It's a little different because it's customized, but if you all were dry cleaners, you all have the same needs. Does that make sense and answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Do you offer kind of like a revenue sharing model with your customers?
Not so much. Well, okay, yes and yes. I was about to say no. So we actually have, and an answer in part to your question, we have a lot of strategic partners. For example, we do websites, we can do basic logo design, and digital strategy. We actually partner with a lot of firms who do those things, but they don't build mobile apps. And so we have a sort of referral fee that we use with them. With our customers, there have been some in the digital, when we have digital strategy, where rather than charging the monthly fees to do the digital strategy, we simply take a part of their profits. I mean, that's the level of confidence that the Amits have, that we know what we're doing and we have the track record. So there are times when people don't want to pay us up front, and so we just say, okay, after sale number 8 every month, we get a certain portion of that. Does that answer your question?
Partly. So as a small business person, how do you help me put together a business case for myself? I mean, is that part of your selling program? We work together on a business case. Is this app likely to give me the return on investment that I'm looking for? Back a year and a half, a year, 3 months, 6 months. Do you help me with that, or am I on my own?
Yes, that's a part of one of the slides there, where you start to look at what your break-even point is, how many customers. As a business development person, if I built a bells and whistles mobile app and I close one client, I'm paid for. But if you're our dry cleaners client, that's a lot of start shirts to sell to make that applicable. Some of it also is just need. So this concierge service, and I can't go into their business model because they don't have permission to talk about it because it isn't launched, but they have to have a mobile app. There just isn't another way around it. It's probably going to be $20,000 they're going to have to get a loan, but there's no way for them to operationalize their business. So that is something that we're working with people on kind of a holistic look at what they're doing in terms of their business strategy and how to really, you can have a mobile app, but if you don't know how to put that out there, it doesn't do you any good. It doesn't drive leads and sales.
All right, next question. Or any feedback on the presentation?
So, a lot of these small business owners are coming to you to fill a need. Do you guys fasten yourself today, or maybe in the future, becoming sort of a one-stop shop for some of these small business owners to maybe create a stickier relationship for BizHawk by saying, hey, you came to me to customize your app, your sales have increased, let's see if we can help you in other areas of your business?
Yes, we actually, that already exists. So we tend to start with people on very basic websites, which start at about $750, and they're all SEO optimized and mobile responsive. And from there, people will often go into digital strategy. From there, they get bigger, they go into automation, they build a mobile app. And then we're also working with strategic partners. So we actually do custom learning management systems. There wasn't time to talk about that. Sometimes, particularly people in the coaching consulting space, want an online program. We help them build out the platform to do that. And then we have different kinds of strategic partners that we're increasingly bringing in. So we have someone that does book publishing. We actually have virtual assistants. So we're working at growing that forward. And again, I think the business has grown from 2 to 35. And some, when you get, anytime you grow, you often need a different strategy and mindset to grow to the next level. And so that's where we're at, is figuring out all of those pieces. So if people have suggestions, I am very open to that.
So by way of feedback, if I may,
yes,
because we're asked to offer feedback, and if that's okay with you, I've heard a lot of products, if I can call it that. One is the custom learning management, the other one is a kind of a template similar to what you get on e-commerce or WordPress. And then you talk to, underpinning all of that seems to be capabilities that you have, teams that you have. So what made you think that the direction you need to take is to go after a customized or a tiered approach, as opposed to focus on setting your capabilities, which seems to be a lot of development and putting digital strategies together, and be that partner for the business? And so I need to understand why the direction into the tiered approach. And also I don't see, and this is my way of feedback also, the discipline that is needed sometimes in a small business to really stand on solid grounds and launch from there. When I start hearing that the products are all over the place, that tells me there's a little bit of discipline, and that may stand in the way of a profitable growth.
Right, so in terms of your first question, as most of you probably know, the space for building websites, digital strategy, automation is very, very crowded. There's a lot of do-it-yourself. If you're smart, there are a lot of these things that you can do. And so we look at, particularly being a company based in India, we've had people say, well, we want to buy local. It's like, well, I live in Dallas. So there's that sort of competitive edge, whereas we find a lot of the digital shops, a lot of the places, even very high-end, high-quality places that build websites, don't do mobile apps. So as I came in and looked at what we do, looked at where we traditionally have strength, looked at the competition, the marketplace, this is what I personally see as a market opportunity. And as I've confessed, I'm not Bill Gates over here. So this is just me being a research nerd, doing market research, saying this is an opportunity, and looking at the trends going towards mobile apps. In terms of discipline, absolutely. Again, you can grow from here to here, and then you need something very different to get from here to here, and that's part of why I came on board. So, I don't want to sound defensive, but it's been 8 weeks, so we're still figuring those things out. We don't want to walk away from business. We have a number of strategic partners in the United States. We don't want to walk away from websites and digital strategy and automation, because that's been our bread and butter, but we also really see that moving forward, if we want to get to some of the places that we need, and frankly there's a much higher profit margin on mobile apps than there is on a website, especially in the small business space. Does that answer your question? I'm very open if you want. I'm not going to get insulted with the way we all grow is by having people point out things that we're blind to.
Certainly, I don't know the history of your company, but I would probably try. You seem to have pivoted. You seem to have created a new kind of direction, which is to go after a tiered mobile app development approach. You could have, my theory is that you could have stayed where you were and worked harder on selling your capabilities and creating your own niche, as opposed to getting into the space. My theory that I'm providing is that if I'm a coach, which you mentioned as an example, and I get a templated mobile app, I may end up with a story not so different from a fly-by-night story, meaning that I may get something that is not differentiated from my fellow coaches that are out there in the market. And in this economy where there's a lot of personalization and unique experience that I have to offer to stand out, I may actually come to the realization that that investment is now down the drain, and I'm going to go now, and because of what I know about my customers, customize, back to the earlier statement, a solution that's going to fit me and my persona as a coach and the persona of my customers, and that is something that probably I should have never started with. So the tiered approach seems to be, in my opinion, because we tried it in websites before, kind of the whole thing and unservable in the long term. So are you after a really viable market, or that's a quick fix to some growth, maybe touches or growth aspirations?
Right, and that's an interesting thing for us to think about. What we were looking at as being sort of a hybrid between the do-it-yourself app and a fully customizable one, so that there would be a lot of, the wireframe is the same. What you're offering, like, coaches typically want you to be able to download stuff, sign up for a coaching session. There are basic things that need to be built into that wireframe. But beyond that, like Jean, who wanted, it's like an angel card game, kind of like tarot cards, but with angel cards, if you know anything about that. That was very unique to her. But someone else has said, oh, I love this angel card thing. I do something with, it's an MBTI, Myers-Briggs type of thing. So yeah, but that is something good to think about. It's just, there's a lot of competition within the website space. Yeah. Well, it's a very good thing to think about, and I appreciate that, because one of the things we have found with me now being with the company, and people that have known me a while say, why did you do this? And I said, because I got tired of being ripped off and mansplained by men in IT. And every woman I talk to goes, oh my God, I know exactly what you mean. And there are a lot of women entrepreneurs, and actually 80% of our staff, 80% of our clients are women. Because we take the high touch and we take the time to explain things. And God bless Ahmed, who spent an hour explaining wireframes, so I could talk about them semi-intelligently. So, maybe that's a better place for us to focus. That's a good thought. Thank you.
We have time for one last relatively quick question.
Yeah, just kind of tagging on with what this gentleman was just saying. For us, we want to be different out there, and I can't just go to a website developer and say, hey, just create this app for me. I need something that's unique, that fits within our strategy and fits within our process that we've developed, that's unique. And so that's what I'm looking for, is somebody that can come up with something different than what everybody else has got and customize it towards what I want. So hopefully that's something that you guys could do. That's
actually traditionally what we've been doing. What we see is the need for people who say, I really see how an app could accelerate my business. I'm a speaker, I go to these events, I would love to, and I didn't go into the business case of why an app over a mobile responsive website. But for those small businesses, they just don't have the money to develop something that's truly customizable. Maybe someday they will, but right now, like our dry cleaners, He just needs an app so that people can do their dry cleaning business. And he actually doesn't even care what it looks like. He's just get it done. He doesn't want to pick colors. It's like, okay, fine. You know, we did research on dry cleaner apps and put something together for him. So yeah, it's a both-and situation. Thank you so much. I know we're out of time. I don't want to monopolize that. Thank you for listening and the opportunity to talk.
Hey guys, so we are always looking for sponsors, so if you're interested in sponsoring coffee or anything like that, come see me. Otherwise, thank you for coming and we'll see you next week.